Hello and welcome to my channel Dhiman Shorthand Institute. Please subscribe for more dictations like this. Ready? 5 seconds. Start. Mr. Chairman, sir, labor is normally divided into two large categories. One is called organized and the other is called unorganized. But I do think that there are two other categories, but one is not sure whether they would fall under either of these two. One of them is bonded labor and the other is child labor. My honorable friend mentioned very categorically the problem of child labor and that the law that children below 14 years should not work has become irrelevant, especially in match industry which flourishes especially and in my state in Shivakashi and in BD industry because the children have become wage earners who contribute to the overall income of the family, and parents do feel that banning them from employment is not fair. But what is unfortunate is that even though the law does exist on record, but when it comes to children and their employment and their future, the state seems to hesitate, to vacillate. I have found that many times inspections have taken place and inspectors have come back and given reports that there are no children below 14 working when it is obvious that more than 80% of those who are working in certain industries happen to be below 14 years because it is understood between the parents and the employer and the inspector that it is in everybody's interest that such a report should be given. It has almost become irrelevant from the point of view of the child. I wonder whether you could take up these two arenas with utmost seriousness, the first being child labor and the second being bonded labor. I have noticed from your report the figure that you have presented that only 3000 bonded labor have been rehabilitated. Have we really done substantial amount of work in respect of bonded labor? A lots of publicity has taken place. The Doordarshan has been used very effectively, but when it really comes down to grassroots results, one is shaken to see the figures being almost insignificant. I think substantial concentration is required in these two arenas. I know there is a lot of contempt in the minds of many in this house for the organized labor. There may not be so much from this side, but from the other side, I can see many members of this house look upon organized laborers as high wage island members. In other words, many think of them that all our organized laborers are in high wage islands. I think it is very unfair criticism. It is true that there is a section of organized labor who get reasonable wages now. But if you want to look at it from the point of view of living wages, I would say that it has not been achieved in many cases. The organized labor falls into various classes. I think the labor minister should catch on to what really the organized labor is. You have organized labor in large scale industries and medium scale industries, and you have organized labor in service sector and government sector, and you have organized labor in small scale industries also. Unfortunately, they are one of the most exploited among the organized labor. Many of the small scale industries organized labor get even lesser than the minimum wage announced in that state, and there the inspector who is involved under the Factories Act is openly in collusion with many of these so called small industries. In fact, there is a new trend today. The trend is, why do you put up a major industry of large investment in one area, and why not split up the industry into 5 or 6 departments? They may even at the same place but call it as 5 different establishments. One produces the first stage of the product, the third stage of the product, the fourth, the finished product, and make investment below rupees 50 lakhs. Ultimately, the industry may be worth rupees 2 crores or maybe a little less than that. But then it is a small scale industry and it gets the protection for it. They are able to exploit. So it is high time that we brought the law to lift the veil on this, because encouragement must go to the genuine small scale industry. Exploitation of labor is the maximum in the organized sector. I think it is also relevant to bring to the notice of the government that in the unorganized arena, it is not sufficient just to have a national commission on rural labor. The demand for a central law has been voiced unanimously by all sides, all parties, and all groups. It is high time that a central law was brought out and immediate steps taken to consult all concerned who deal with the subject.